One of the problems with our democracy is that one of the problems was the repeal of the fairness doctrine. And I'd like you to explain what that is. And the reason I'm asking you is because that single act led to the propagation of information and media that no longer is about the truth. It's about polarization. And that was a very disturbing moment in American history that I don't think most people caught.
Congress passed it in 1928 at the dawn of commercial radio to make sure there was a diversity of voices. Fairness doctrine said you could only own a limited number of radio stations because they didn't want one corporate conglomerate to be able to control the narrative. It was recognized that the public owned the airwaves and that the broadcasters could be licensed to use them, but they could only use them to serve the public interest. And what that meant is, yes, they could make money by selling entertainment to you on the radio, but they had to tell the news that was important for forming government policies, at least for a certain amount of minutes or hours per day. And particularly when the television came along, they had to do it at a time when most families would be home. That's why we had the 6 o'clock news hour, because they thought all Americans are going to be home. The news divisions had to be independent. They had to be telling truth. If they told one side of the story, if there were two sides, you had to let the other people tell their side of the story. That was the fairness doctrine. And that's why during that period, the news divisions were basically semi-autonomous, and they were all money losers because the network would put the money in them because that's the only way they could hold on to their license. And then in 1986, Reagan abolished the fairness doctrine through FCC policy, so that today I think there's 5 companies, maybe now only 4, that control virtually all the radio stations, television stations in our country, almost all the newspapers, almost all the billboards, and most of the large internet content providers. So you have this huge consolidation where there's 5 guys who are now telling American what's news, and there's no obligation anymore that they have to tell the truth. The bean counters at NBC are now telling NBC News Division, you got to show a profit. How do you show a profit if you're a news division? Not by having reporters in every country in the world and reporters in every agency of government. There used to be reporters when I was a kid. There'd be a reporter at EPA from NBC. There'd be a reporter full-time at the Commerce Department, at the Transportation Department. And they'd be digging through papers all day, uncovering scandals and revealing them to the public. That's all gone. And they show a profit, not by telling us news that may be difficult to explain or hear, but rather by entertaining us. And then they do a lot of partisan propaganda and corporate propaganda. It's very, very damaging to our democracy, as our founders predicted. If you like this video and you want to help me become president of the United States, go to Kennedy24.com and donate now.